How's it going, guys? Thanks for joining. Leander, evening. I'm good, brother. How are you? How are you doing this evening? Just going to wait a couple of minutes like I normally do, see who jumps in, who um, avoids the intro. So we'll just wait a couple of minutes, but thanks for joining. Who's here? Hope you've had a good week, Leander. Ozzy, how we doing, brother? Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. How's your week going as well? How have you been getting on with them, Leander? I did notice you comment a few streams back that you did try the thingy. I lose track of the comments. That's good. That's good. So this is what I'm vaping on tonight. My little buffet, guys. Got Twisted Message and the Noisy Cricket on there. That's what I'm vaping on. And last week's build from last week's stream, the Bonza Met Kit. So in the Bonza Met Kit, I've got my G14 classified juice, the dessert juice that I cannot talk about. But in this one, I am vaping some ice melonade, the only ice flavour that I do like. Come on, Henry. Focus. That I do like. Dark Star Labs that hasn't made a return yet. I've got a couple of drinks. One that I had last week. Went beer shopping today and there were just hardly any. Let's get that back to normal. Hardly anything on variety at the moment. So I've got this one and another one that was in a previous stream as well. Oh, did you? And what did you? Was it wire you got from Stealth Vape, Leander? So I'll apologise now if you catch last week's stream as well. I had really bad internet connections. Everything seems all right so far, but my internet just shut itself, and I got to more or less the end of the stream, and it just froze. So I apologise about that. So hopefully this week I won't have any issues. Everything seems to be running a lot smoother. So yeah. How's it going, Steve? Thanks for joining, mate. Thanks for joining. How we doing? Yeah, they have got good wire. It's not the best wire you can get, but it's good wire for the price as well. And on some spools, I've got 50% extra free as well, which is also a good deal as well. What are you vaping on tonight, Steve? I've got this from last week's stream. Kicking ass. Oh, you know I'm a massive tease. Massive tease. What was that, Leander? That's what you had? What, you mean for this kit? I am interested in the heavy hitter. I won't lie. Everything leaks or burns. Keep going at it, Steve. Keep going at it. Don't always work out for me, you know. Check some of my previous streams. Streams haven't worked out for me when I'm making wire. I've got to keep an eye on this because this is a series. So make sure you've got a series build. I've got a 0.48 ohm build on there. Staggered fuse Clapton. And then that one I've got last week's stream with is an interlocked alien in there. Oh, yeah. Did you just go for normal NI80? Stainless steel? Like I say, they got good wire. I used to get my wire from Crazy Wire, but they're no longer doing wire again. So that's why I switched over to Stealth Vape. Crazy Wire wasn't the best wire, but it's wire that I use myself, so I wasn't really that bothered. You're supposed to vape it with your mouth, not your thumb. That's more probably your problem there, Steve. Right, so we've got 5 of you here, been chatting for a bit. Thanks everybody that has joined. The best way you can support the channel is to hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed. If you want to go that step extra, there is a Buy Me a Coffee link pinned to the top of the comments if you wish to do so. But sit back and let's relax and have a bit of fun, guys. Thanks for joining. Shout out to everybody. I appreciate the support and love you all. So today's drink, so like I said, went drink shopping today. There was hardly any variety whatsoever. So this one is from last week's stream. I did have this one. Come on, Henry, focus. Which is from Vault City, the Raspberry Cream Soda. Come on, Henry. 4.8%. Nice and ice cold. It's been in the freezer. No problem, Steve. Appreciate you dropping in, brother. Appreciate you dropping in anyway. I know what you mean. Summer holidays and everything, kids and stuff, grandkids. Whoa, very busy. But I do appreciate it for how long you stay. So just my glass, nothing special, just my favourite glass I like to drink out of. It's going for the port. So this is a sour. If I haven't already mentioned it, it's a sour. So same as I had last week's stream. So cheers, guys, everybody that's here, jumping in and out. And hashtag replay crew. Cheers, guys. Come on, Henry. So I know what this tastes like. It's a very nice drink. If you're into your sours and stuff like I am, Vault City, definitely give them a try. And that's just gorgeous. Nice pucker. Raspberry, is it? Yeah, raspberry taste with a nice sour taste. And I'm going to pair it with this one, the Ice Melonade. The only ice flavour that I have vaped that I liked, because there's just a hint of it in there. Let's pair it with this. I know it goes well with this because I paired it with it last week. And yeah. So that juice definitely brings out the sour notes in the drink, and a bit more creamier, but the melon and the raspberry go well together, really nice. So very, very steamy. I've got a series build in here, so I've got my windows open, so it will get a bit steamy in here. So let's get started. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to be building on. We're going about 9 years back for both RTA and mod that I'm using. I won't be using a mech today. I'll be using a regulated mod today. Sorry about that. You don't want to hear that in the microphone. Get to the coil, build it, make it, get it all ready, and then ready for the device that I'm going to be putting it on. So I will be moving the camera about. If I'm not always looking at the camera, I apologize. I'm looking at a couple of monitors, checking on what's broadcasting, and obviously chat and stuff as well, making sure my connection's all hunky-dory. So cheers again, guys. Let's get started. So until I get a bit better, then yeah. And I will address this watermark. You're just going to have to bear with it for a couple of streams until I buy the premium, because stuff that was for free on the streaming app that I'm using is now not free. So let's pull some bits out here just to make it easy, so I can move my camera. So there we are, and we're here, and let's zoom out so you can see me a bit better. That's better. So let me just move my chair around. Better than me shuffling about like an idiot. So let me bring you down a bit so you can see what I'm doing. Make sure my focus isn't unlocked. That's brilliant. So here is what I'm building on. I don't know if you can recognize it there, but keep all my RTAs and RDAs in these clear pop tubs. Just keeps them nice and clean and free from dust. So this is the Calito, Aspire Calito. It hasn't got the drip tip on because I don't have it. But yeah, Aspire Calito. So this originally was a sub-ohm tank. Now the only reason why I bought this tank, because I knew there was going to be an RTA section out for it. So that's the only reason why I would buy a sub-ohm tank, is if you could get an RTA section for it, which is at 22mm. And you've got sort of like a floating pin there. That's one of the reasons why I will not be using it on a mech mod. I'll be using it on a regulated mod. 22mm, like I say, in diameter. When 22mm were the craze. Bubble glass as well. It didn't originally come with this. It was one of those first, I think, round about that time where bubble glasses started to become a rage. Because people didn't like them. They called it a fishbowl. But yeah, one of the tanks that first came out that you could get a bubble glass with. So what I'll do quickly, this is how it normally comes. So let me remove that because I can't have two things on my screen. But basically that's how it came originally, as a sub-ohm tank. Like that. And anybody that has owned one of these in the past knew when they first came out that the coils were absolutely trash with them. Tastes like burnt rubber bands is basically what it tastes like. So you've got airflow, Cyclops style, and you've got 3. So you've got tri-airflow, not parallel airflow or quad airflow. Come on, Henry. Yeah. So you've got 3 style airflows. So whatever you adjust is the same across the board. So it is chipped and stuff. It's not in perfect condition because it was a used tank back in the day. So top comes off like that. So the top screws onto the top of the RTA chimney there. So it's wide open for you to just stick your juice in there. Glass comes off like that. And then top cap chimney comes on, plenty of O-rings. And then, so normal RTA section, so you could stick an Aspire Calito coil in there and just run it like a normal sub-ohm tank. So let me just take this barrel off. So this was the RTA section, very, very small. So that deck space there, you're looking at about 15.5 millimeters of deck space. Velocity style deck, that became a craze as well. Peak insulator, wicking channels. Now they look big on camera, but wicking them up close and in person can be a bit of a ball ache. So it is definitely challenging. Most of your modern vapors, a bit spoiled with your 25mm decks and stuff like that. This is what we had back in the day. So rubber O-ring there. Same for top cap. There's an O-ring that goes against the glass. Like that. And that's basically where we're at. So what I want to build for this is an alien. Now you're probably thinking, oh, you keep doing aliens, but yeah, but for the tank, I want to get the best flavor out of it as well. Don't forget, it's an older tank and a more modern coil is a lot better. But I am doing a different variant. I normally do a 26 gauge core alien. Today I'm going to be doing a 28 gauge core alien. Just because of the room on there, like I say, I'm working with 15.5 millimeters on the deck. So I need to do a coil that's not too big and is not going to touch anywhere. So that's what we're building on. So let me get all set up. If you have any questions, feel free to ask as I go along. It's not algebra, it's just simple math. So I've got that. Let me put this up. So the way I have stuff set up is I have it set up so it's about eye view. So it's just better for me than being too low. I like it eye view. So I'm just using a normal tail that I've cut down short to stick my drill on because I'm using this drill, which I got out of a Daedalus Pro kit. So if you've got just a normal cordless drill with forward and backward motion, that's fine, use that. I'm just using this because this is obviously what I've got. So I'm not going to buy anything extra if I don't need to. So that came with the Daedalus Pro kit, which sort of like major coils for you, but for me, it took the fun out of making coils. So I stopped using it and went back to the old way or the traditional way of making coils. So that's in place there. I've got my swivel, nothing special. It's just a bench. It's just a bench vise, okay, that I do to my bench. Block of wood, a hook, and 2 ball bearing swivels. Now these did come with the Daedalus Pro, but you can get these online, fishing tackle shops. Just go for the ball bearing ones. nothing less, otherwise they'll just fail while you're doing your building or in the middle of it, or just break. So go for the ball bearing ones, they're the best. Let's have another two. Sitting nice, and the flavours absolutely gorgeous. So core wires, using 28 gauge. It is Kenthal, so like I say, before I started using stealth wire, I did used to use crazy wire Kenthal. So 28 gauge rather than 26 is which is what I normally use. And the outer wrap, I'm just going to keep it at 36. Why is this taking so long to charge? Sorry about that, guys. So 36 gauge NI80 is what I'm going to be using for my outer wrap. So for starters, I just need some wire cutters and some pliers. I'm using some curved ones. Teethless pliers works better. So I'm wanting 3 cores. So 2 cores I'm going to cut the same length, and then 1 core I'm going to cut slightly longer. For doing the Clapton part for your D core, you need slightly longer wire and slightly longer D core as well. Because once you get to the end and cut it, it does recoil back and you lose a bit of it as well. So you need a slightly longer piece. So I'll also need these binoculars as well because I'm blind, and it just helps me to get a closer view of what I'm doing as well. So let's get some wire off. So 28 gauge is a pretty thin wire, so it should be easy to stretch in hand. If you can't do it like that for whatever reason, you have bad hands or anything, stick it in the chuck of your drill, hold it on one side with your pliers and give it a spin, and it should go nice and straight. But this is thin enough just for me to grab and pull. So once you feel a bit of resistance or the wire just stretch a bit, let go, and then your wire becomes nice and straight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what I normally do, is 30 centimeters, 300 millimeters, 12 inches for my first 2 bits of wire. So that's going to be my overall length. I won't need that much, but I like to have extra for obviously my chuck and swivel as well. So if I need to do any trimming or adjusting, I've got that extra wire again. I don't have to pull out another piece. I can just go with the same wire. So same again, give it a tug, nice and straight. And same again for this one, 30 centimeters, 300 millimeters, 12 inches. 12 inches, that's what he said. Right, guys. So I'm hoping you're enjoying the stream. Is there any way I can make it a bit better? Just let me know. Comment down to make it a bit funner. I know sometimes I can be boring or it can be a bit draggy. So any suggestions or anything to make the stream better and more enjoyable for you, feel free to comment. So for the third piece of wire, I'm going to do 40 centimeters, 400 millimeters, and that's over 12 inches. So third piece of wire, I want slightly extra. So I've got my 3 pieces of wire. Just pop that away a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick a couple of L's in this, one for my chuck and one for obviously swivel, locking it into my swivel. So like I say, if your eyesight's good, you don't need these. If not, it's worth getting a pair because it does help with getting up close with stuff. So I'm just going to stick an L in there. So this is why I like extra or more than I need, for this reason, for chuck stuff and securing it into your swivel. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open my chuck. I'm using my Handy Coil Factory chuck here, that flat chuck that keeps your wires all flat and next to each other. So I'll be using this. So I'm just going to unlock this and feed it into here. So the L that I've put in is so it sticks out the side and it's easier for me to put my wire on for Clapton in, or do my D-core. So the D-core is basically doing a Clapton wire. So there is a little divot in there to keep it nice and center. And then I'm just going to lock that down like that. Like that, and that's brilliant. So at this stage, you're just basically doing a Clapton. If you're doing a normal 3-core Clapton, you use the same wire to do your D-core wire off. If you're adding a wire or taking away a wire, you have to do your D-core off a different size wire, not the same wire. But if you're doing a normal 3-core Alien, you do your D-core off the same size wire. So I'm just going to pull my swivel in, making sure my connection is still good. Thanks for everybody. Appreciate you all. So what I want to do here is just show you what I'm doing here. So I'm locking this end into my swivel, keeping it nice and tight away, keeping tension, and then I'm just going to lock that in and wrap that tail end around the wire, and that'll just lock it in and keep it nice and secure. So I'm just going to put that tight, not too tight. I want my swivels to be able to spin, so about like that. Always check, make sure that your swivels spin, which they do. So I've got 2 swivels on there just in case one fails, the other one will keep on going. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move these 2 core wires out the way so they don't get bent and stuff. So I'll just move that out of the way. So I'm going to load on my wire to this end here. So what I'll do is I will get you in nice and close. Just got to remember the positioning here for you to get a good close up and focus. So let me lock this focus in. So there we are, that's locked in. So when you're doing your D-core for your aliens, you need to do it the opposite way to your final wrap. Now what I mean by that is whichever way you're comfortable wrapping, say like you're doing a Clapton or a fuse Clapton, people have different methods or how they like to wrap. I like to wrap over the top. So because I like to wrap over the top, this D-core part, I want to be doing it the opposite way. So I like to wrap with the drill going clockwise. So I need to do my D-core anti-clockwise in the drill. Now, if you're opposite and prefer to do your wraps from underneath, do your D-core from over the top. So if you prefer your final wrap or you like to do your fuse Claptons and stuff anti-clockwise, do this part, your D-core part, clockwise. So because I like to wrap clockwise, I'll be doing it anti-clockwise. Hope that's not confusing what I've just said, but like I said, feel free to ask any questions. So I'm just going to load this up into here. So like I say, sometimes I forgot to put this little thing out here, but all that does, it makes it easier for me to secure my wire on there like that. So the good thing also about this chuck is I can go all the way to the end of the wire just like that. So what I'm going to do is make sure my drill is in the correct position, which is anti-clockwise. all you're doing is just a simple Clapton all the way to the end of this wire. So 90-degree angle. I don't want to be holding my spool too tight. I want that Clapton to be able to move on the core wire. Hanky Panky, how we doing? Well, yeah, you can do that. Simple left or right. How we doing, Hanky Panky? Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it, buddy. So, let's get going. So, like I say, I like these goggly things. It helps me make sure everything's nice and consistent. So this part of the build, if you mess up or go back on yourself, you can correct yourself. If you're doing the alien part, the after part, you can't, you just have to carry on. So just remember, if you're doing this, this is the only part of doing an alien that you can go back on yourself and correct what you've done wrong. So like I say, simple Clapton, 90-degree angle, not holding my spool very tight, because obviously I want that core wire to move, I want that Clapton to move off that core wire. So once I get out of focus a bit, I will move my camera for you so you can see what I'm doing. So I'll just stop there and adjust so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to go all the way to the end of this wire. I'm going to go all the way to the end and carry on. So hopefully my microphone is doing what it should be doing, which is drowning out the sound of the drill, and you can hear my voice over it. So I'm going to Clapton all the way to the end. Once I've chopped it at the end with the tail, like I do in my previous streams, it will recoil back and you'll lose about a centimetre or just over a centimetre. So like I say, this is why when you're doing this part, your decore, you need a slightly longer wire. To your final wrap. So thanks for everybody that's here. I appreciate it. Don't forget to smash that like button and make sure you're subscribed. And I've said at the start of this thing, if you wish to, there's a buy me a coffee link pinned to the top of the comments if you wish to do so. So this drill doesn't spin really fast, which isn't a problem. That's all right for me. A cordless drill is probably a lot faster, twice as fast. So wraps are nice and consistent. There's no gapping. It's all nicely tight together. Yeah, definitely, Hanky Panky. Come and say hi. I will not bite, but I do appreciate each and every one of you. I mean, I've got to admit, I don't always comment when I'm watching lives. I just like to watch. I'm dyslexic and I've got ADHD, so by the time I'm commenting about something that's been said, it's 5 minutes have gone. So I tend to stay quiet. So I do appreciate the ones that don't say anything, but are still here to support. I do appreciate you all. Love you all. So how are you, Hanky Panky? How's it been going with you? Hope you're doing well, brother. And I do appreciate you coming in, dropping in. So yeah, like I say, normal Clapton, 90-degree angle. Don't hold your spool too tight because you want that core wire to move off this. If you do it by accident, just hold your tail end and spin your drill in the opposite direction. That's one way of doing it. And also another way of doing it is spinning it while you're gripping it at the opposite way so it slides off. That's another way. So I'm nearing to the end now. Like I say, I'm going to go all the way up to the end and I'll show you what I mean. I'm doing good, hanky panky. I'm doing really, really well, brother. Thank you. Hope you've got something nice to drink. What you're vaping on tonight? So I'm nearly getting to the end of this. And like I say, I'll get you in close to show you what happens and why I say you need a slightly longer piece of wire doing this part of it. So let me move that out of the way, get you in a little close just here. So will that autofocus? There we are. So I'm all the way to the end, as you can see. Now, I'm going to chop the wire, leave a tail on. You need the tail for the stretching part. So do that. And as you can see, it does recoil back a bit. So you do lose just over a centimetre because of the real recoil back. There. So hence you're needing a slightly longer wire when you're doing the decore. And also I want to make sure that this wire moves, which it does. And that's why I say don't hold your spool too tight as well. So let's get that out the way. So that's basically your decore just there. So normal Clapton, wrap the opposite way round to the how you like to do your final wrap. So I've done this left if you're hanky panky, anti-clockwise, or reverse is another way to put it. Let's have another drink. Cheers, guys. Appreciate y'all. And a toot on this. That's getting dry. Don't want a dry hit. Dry hits fuckers. And you don't want that on your throat. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this Clapton part off the core wire. So I'm going to give it a snip right to the end. I'm just going to move my swivel just out of the way. Now I was supposed to cut this end before, but not a problem if you forget to do that. So it does move. So you're just going to push that Clapton part off your core wire. Now you want to be careful with this part. You don't want to snag it, pull it, damage it in any way, because then that's when you're going to get imperfections in your build. So what I am going to do now is get rid of this bit just here. I have got a bin under my bench. I'm not a mucky bastard. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to chop this L off. Well, actually I'm not. I'm going to get my other two wires, put them all together, make sure they're all the same length. I want them all the same length. Like so. And like I say, this is why I like extra wire for trimming and stuff like that. So I'm just going to trim that all straight. Watch your eyes. Run my finger down, making sure I'm not moving anything, and then at this end, do the same. Chop it all level too. And that's just ended up on me, probably end up on the floor. So what I'm doing now is I'm making sure that all my wires are next to each other parallel. And then I'm going to load one end into my chuck. So like I say, this chuck is a lifesaver because when you're doing multi-core builds, keeps your wires nice and flat compared to a drill chuck, which can jam all your wires into the center of the chuck. So lifesaver this. So I'm going to feed that in there, making sure that my middle wire is center, which it is. Lock that in. So like I say, lifesaver, and it keeps your wire nice and straight. So I'm running my fingers all the way down to make sure that the wires are all next to each other. They're not overlapping or crisscrossing in any way. Now I will be using a guide. You don't have to if you don't have a guide. If you want to get a guide, there's guides online which you can get. This just is an extra precaution, just to give me a bit more stability in there. So this end I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to pull to make sure that all the wires are nice and taut next to each other, and then I'm going to stick an L in there to load into my chuck, to load into my swivel, sorry, not my chuck. So that in there like that, a bit more closer, like that. So I'm going to hook that L bit in there, still making sure that all these wires are nice and parallel, which they are. I'm going to pull this way, keeping it nice and tight and taut. And then I'm going to do exactly the same, wrap it round and lock it in like so. So that's nice and straight and next to each other. So in my previous streams, I have messed up just using this, but Dave Watman, that was watching one day, did mention Lego pieces. Now, I can't get hold of any Lego pieces, or the ones that I can't just have a couple of pieces out of it. So another thing that I use is key rings. Key rings do help. You use the Lego. So I'm using key rings. So this is another thing, key rings, paper clips, hair snap clips is another one that you can use. So I'm going to use two. One, I'm going to stick right at the end just here, just to keep all that nice and flat. Now this helps keep your wires flat as you're going along and doing your alien part. So this side, let me just move this decor out the way, because I don't want to snag it, pull it, or damage it in any way. I'm just going to move that out of the way. Get you in close just here so you can see what I'm doing. Get this locked in so it stays where it should be. So this one, I'm going to put my key ring around this guide. Just a bit of extra protection for me. If you don't have the guide, the key rings will work. I'm just doing this because I'm doing a live, and nothing ever works out on a live, and it just helps me bring you a more consistent coil and build an experience like that. So let me get you in close, or not too close that you can't see, or Henry won't won't focus. So there we are. So as you can see, this chuck keeps it nice and flat. I've got the keyring plus the guide just to give me that bit of extra protection. Now, when I was just using this guide and not the keyring, when I used to do my aliens, I used to have a problem with the middle wire collapsing. Okay, because these guides are not precise, there is play in them as well. So the keyring just keeps it nice and flat. And the way I do it now, in case you haven't catched my previous ones, is I do a little bit at a time, stop, move along, stop, move along, and do it that way. So that's that. So let's get to the stretch of the decor. So Hanky Panky, you just behave yourself. And I'll do that so you can see what I'm doing. You can see what I'm doing and how I am doing it. So this part, I cannot tell you how to do. It's all by feel. Behave yourself, Hanky. It's all about feel and stretch. So I can't tell you how to stretch it because every length of decor is different. You want that sort of corkscrew sort of look to your decor after you've stretched it. Now at this point you want to either stretch it perfectly or understretch it. If you overstretch it, game over, you have to do a completely new decor. So I try and get it stretched bang on or understretch it so I've got a pinch when it comes to the wrapping part. I know you do, Hanky. I know you do. I've got no comment. I'm not saying anything. So I'm using these just little clips that I got from Aldi. Came in 3 sizes. This is the largest one, which I'm just going to clip on top of here, like so. So both sides of this decor, you've got a tail. So one tail I'm going to load into here, and then the other tail I'm going to be using it to stretch the decor wire. So I'm just going to bend that up just to make it a bit easier. Load it into here. So it's nicely clamped down like so. And then be very careful not to also snag it as well. You don't want to snag it. So let me just move my chair out a bit because I don't like my chair too close when I'm doing the alien part. So like I say, I use the stretch method, but I also look at it with these to get that corkscrew sort of look to it. So I do it by feel and look. So I do it the stretch method, not the pull method. So be very careful and pull. Try not to let go. So about there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let go with my pliers because it will spin a bit. Be very careful with this core wire now. Don't want to snag it, don't want to get it caught in anything. And trust me, in my previous streams, I have got it caught and snagged. So because I've got carpet, I'm just going to snip the bit that's got the tail on so it doesn't snag on my carpet. I'm going to position this decor just under my seat and out of the way of anything, my socks, my trousers, anything. So this is why I move my chair back a bit. At this point, it gives me plenty of space. So let me get you back close again to this position. There we are. So you can see what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. And I think that might be just perfect. There we are. Lock that in. And that's staying perfectly like that. So I'm just going to move that over a tiny bit. I'm going to release this end here. I'm going to leave the tail on. Doesn't make any difference doing that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to feed this lead through one of them. Doesn't matter which one it is. I'm just going to feed it through, and then I'm going to very carefully, not with my cutters, just with these pliers, I'm just going to shove it all the way to the end like that. So I'm going to move this back over here so it's just about here. So if once you start, you need to figure out whether you need a pinch or not, or whether you've stretched it perfectly or whatever. So when it comes to pinching, I just hold the tail end of this just like this, up straight parallel with that. Now, if I need to pinch, I increase my pinch. If I need to decrease it, I open my pinch up a bit. Now, some people will say, just twist your hand like doing that. Now, I've done it that way, but when I've done it that way, where I've just twisted my hand, the wire feeding up spirals and gets knotted. So I don't do that. I just keep it nice and straight and use a pinch if I need to. So the first thing that I'll be doing is just establishing if I need to have a pinch on it. I've got the right stretch for it, and we'll go from there. So let's get this on. This looks a bit better. Making sure I'm not standing on this tail end. Right. Make sure your drill is in the opposite way from when you did your decore. So I like wrapping over the top. Clockwise, forward, left or right. If you're hanky-panky, right direction. So let me establish what I'm doing here. So also as well, it's not like a Clapton, so you don't hold it at a right angle. You want to be slightly ahead of the game. So away from your chuck towards your swivel. So it doesn't matter if you're doing it this way or your chuck's on that side. You want to be slightly on an angle facing away from the chuck. How we doing, Jeff? Thanks for joining, brother. I appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Cheers, brother. Hope you've had a good day. And what you've been vaping on and stuff. I'm currently vaping on the Noisy Cricket and the Twisted Messes. I'm doing well, Jeff. Don't know about everybody else in the chat, but I'm sure they'll have a chat with you just while I'm doing this bit here. So, like I say, now I'm just establishing my pinch and stuff like that. So I'm going to go really slow, see if I need to have a pinch on it, if I've got my pinch right. So I do need a pinch on it. So I've got my pinch established. Now I'm just going to obviously get going. So like I say, with this method, I can do it really quick with the keyring method. Now, if you've joined my previous streams, I were going really, really slow and then obviously having problems as well. Right, so I've gone wrong there. Talking too much, being a big mouth. There we are. So, like I said, if you go wrong at this stage, you cannot go back on yourself. You've got to carry on. So, go slow and then get going again. Hopefully I won't run into that situation again. So I'm just going to do that, then stop, take my time, move this across. So like I say, this method was a nice bit of help from Steve Watman, Handmade Coils. Like I said, he told me to use Lego, but it's hard to find Lego. So I'm using key rings. So like I say, you can use key rings, paper clips, hair clips, for stuff just around the house if you don't have anything special or anything now like that. And stop again, and then slowly get going again, get your groove. And then once you've done that, you can get going again. So keeping at that slightly off angle, not a 90-degree angle. You just want slightly more than that. I'd say about a 95-degree angle is what you need. And this keyring method helps a lot for obviously wire collapsing as well. Am I? Practice makes perfect. I mean, I've been doing this for ages, Jaff, and I'm still learning even today. Even today I'm learning. So get your groove on again and then get going. And that helps. Like I said, when I didn't have the key rings as an aid to keep them flat, my middle wire was collapsing. So like I say, I can go faster. And then slow, and then move on. So I will move you down so you can see what I'm doing. There we are. So start up again slow. Get your groove going, get that angle, get that pinch. And just get going. So like I say, it makes it easier, can go a bit faster, makes the builds just slightly better for lives as well, instead of messing around. So when I'm stopping as well, you don't want to release your pinch in any way if you can help it. You want to keep your pinch the same. So as you can see, my keyring just went a bit weird there. So I'm going to move this along. So this also helps with the twisting as well. That's going to happen at this end as well. So I'm sorry if you're commenting and I don't see it. Right, so I've messed up again. Oh, I've messed up quite a bit again. Nice one. So like I say, it is hard. And if you release that pinch in any way like I have done, it will give you imperfections. But hopefully it won't be that bad. Hopefully I won't have regretted it. So again, stop and move over a bit, keeping that stretch and that pinch just right. Now the pinch can hurt your hand, unfortunately. There's nothing you can do. You're just going to have to go with it because you don't want to be obviously releasing that pinch. So I'm going a bit better. If I'm out of camera angle, I'm sorry. I will move you across so you can see what I'm doing. That keyring is going a bit rogue. I'm hoping before this mess up here I can get a coil out of it. But we'll see how that goes. So it takes practice. This just doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of practice, a lot of determination, and trial and error. Trial and error. So I'm going to have to release my pinch just a bit because it looks like that's just come loose just a bit, and I don't want it to do that. So if you get into this situation, Vaping Brummy, nice to see you. Thanks for joining, brother. Appreciate it. So if you're in this situation again where you've had to let go, don't panic. Just grab hold of it again and just give it that just slight stretch as you start going off again. As you get going again. So, got this. I'm going to give it a little stretch and hopefully I don't mess up. There we are. So there we are, keeping the pinch nice. So it's not always bad if you do let go of your core wire. It's always just better just to keep hold of it, to keep that pinch consistent. But in no way, shape or form are you in a situation where you cannot recover from it. Like now. So there we are. So I'm just going to pull this off a little bit. And I'm going to move that off and then reapply that ring. There we are. And then I'm just going to move this across again. There we are, like that. Let me get you a bit closer. So, like I say, if you've had to let go again, try and get your wire so your parallel bit is facing like that, so it's easier to pull down on. So, again, I'm just going to grab hold of it again, give it a little stretch, and then get going again. She's going really good. Right. So I am getting to the end of my wire. So I'm going to take this one off now because I am getting obviously to the end. To the end of my wire. I'm just going to move it on a bit more. I appreciate it. Now, it's a ring. So the reason why this is on my thumb, because this was originally my wedding ring. And when we ordered it, they sent us the wrong size. It was too big. So instead of getting rid of it, I just thought it fits my thumb. I'll put it on my thumb. So this is what I've done. But I did get a lot of stick for that thumb thing. People used to think I were gay, which is nothing wrong with being gay. It's just that, no, just because I've got a ring on my thumb doesn't mean that I'm gay. So I am getting to the end of my wire just here. So I'm going to slowly, with the same rhythm, keep it going without stretching it in any way. And stop there. And that's it. That is it, guys. So I don't know how Henry's going to bloody react to this, because he hasn't been great. Let's see if we can get a close-up of this coil, which you probably won't, because it is weird. Just let me take this autofocus off, see if that helps. No, it doesn't. I will get you a close-up, but as you can see, it's like glass. Just like that. I will get you a close-up, but basically that is it. That's the alien that I'm doing. Like I say, it's slightly different to what I normally do. I normally do the 26 gauge core, but you know, I'm doing 28 gauge for the build that I'm doing. So let me snip this tail off. Little bit of tail there. Okay. So I'm just going to pull them off as well, because I don't want to lose them. They can go away. Get rid of the swivel now. It's all banter, Hanky. It's all banter. I know it's banter. I like banter. Don't you worry, mate. Don't need to apologise for no. So, there we are. So, this focus is not on auto. So, there we are. Go on, Henry, working this week. So, there we are. That is the Alien 28 gauge core, 37 outer. There we are. So as you can see, it is twisted a bit. Do not worry about anything like that. That will come out in the wrap as well. So I'm hoping before I've made this mistake, I've got enough wire to do the coil that I want it to do. But I'll start at one end like I normally do and go from there. So let me get rid of some stuff, make it a bit tidier. And you can see me a bit better as well. So get rid of that. So like I said, there's quite a few of you here, and I did mention it at the beginning. If you catch last week's stream, I had internet issues, and then once I got near to the end, it just went kaput, it shit itself. So the stream ended a bit abruptly last week, so I do apologise for that. But so far, everything's going well. My connection is excellent. Nothing's changed. Hasn't been any jittering or spitting or anything like that. So, as well, if you didn't catch it, Colito RTA, which was a sub-ohm tank with an RTA section, which is about 9 years ago, talking about 9 years ago. So with it being a really small deck, I want about a 2.5 millimeter coil, 2.5mm coil. That's too close. Let's change that for a different one. So this just helps me because my eyesight isn't great. So 2.5. I'm just using my normal Coil Master jig. You can buy coiling jigs anywhere, work more or less the same. Just put it in there. You normally do get a loop as well to do it, but because it's something like an Alien or a Fuse Clapton, just wrap it by hand, not using that. So I'm going to see how many wraps I get before this mistake just here. Well, I'm going to start at this end. So with Aliens, you've got two sides. You've got one side which is flat, and then you've got one side that's got slight ridging. So you want the bit with the ridge to be sitting on top for better juice absorption. I can't talk, drinking. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rest it, put you there, rest it against the coil jig. First wrap is always the trickiest one, so do take your time. Make sure it's nice and tight. So 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to keep it at 5 at the moment. I want to see how much room I do have on the deck as well. So let me get all this back off. So that's what we're dealing with. Velocity style deck, 15.5mm in deck space. So hence why I'm not using a 3mm coil and just using my building mod, which is the Drag 2. So I just want to check for space in there. So easily 1, 2. So I want about 6 wraps, I'd say. Yeah, 6 wraps will work perfectly. So, right. So there might be a slight imperfection in this coil. Now, if I were doing it professionally, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't use it. But because I'm vaping it myself, I shouldn't have a problem. So let's see how this goes. So first wrap's always the tight one. It is a thin wire, so if it's bent in any way, or if it's too bent, like this is just a tidgy bit, it should come out in the wrap as well. So 3, 4, 4. So like I said, this is a little bit more twisted than normal. If it's just slightly twisted, you will be fine. It'll just come out in the wrap. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'll just get away with it before that imperfection just there. So just before that imperfection there, I'm good. And I'm happy that Henry is working as he should and focusing when he should. So I'm just going to chop that off there like that and chop that off there like that. So let's get you a bit of a close-up. So come on, Henry. Come on, Henry. There we are. So 6 wraps, Alien, 28 gauge core, 36 gauge outer wrap with a 6 wrap 2mm ID. So that's the coils ready. Let's get everything mounted. So I'm going to be using my coil jig for mounting process. So post holes are around about 1.3mm. It's not a 1.5. A 1.5 is too big. Let's have a drink. And a vape. I have a vape on the bonder. Really nice. That's got the G14 classified juice in there that I cannot talk about, unfortunately. So I'm going to just quickly open these post holes. Like I say, velocity style deck. If you haven't been vaping as far back as I did, this deck changed the way people did RTAs and RDAs after the velocity brought it out. So the velocity RDA is what changed the build deck of coils, because you had the 3-post design. I will get around to doing an RDA that's a 3-post design coil, but yeah, that is what changed it for the whole vaping industry, was that deck. And then obviously your postless decks is what's taken over now, but extremely easy to build on and get your coils in there. So I'm going to try and stay in camera view so you can see what I'm doing. Get that here, make sure that's focused in there. So no need to do anything bending with your legs. One in the bottom post, one in the top post on the opposite side. Negative post, positive post, or opposite way around in this case. This is the negative, that is the positive. So I'm just going to thread those coils in there like that. Nothing special, I just want it over that airflow hole just there. So I'm going to lock that leg in. So one of the things that weren't good about velocity style decks, in this case, if you were using an exotic coil like this, like an Alien, Fuse Clapton, something like that, something with more than one core in them, it did have the problem of bending your legs to the side. It wasn't a major thing, but that's what it did do. It bent your legs slightly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to position this where I want it, which is just slightly in the center like that. Come on, Henrik. Like that. And same again with the other coil, mount it the other way. Don't have to worry about the legs because you can snip them after as well. So what I'll do, just to make it easier for myself, I'm just going to snip them off now. Watch your eyes. And watch your eyes. They didn't go flying. So I'm going to do the same with this. One leg in the top, one leg in the bottom. That's what she said. And the same again, I'm just going to position it just above that airflow. Then lock the legs in. So back in the day, we probably did push our luck and try and get 3mm coils in there, but the room and the space in there were just horrific. So 2.5mm coil is perfect for this. So make it nice and straight and positioned exactly the same way. Now the more trickier things is going to be those wicking holes. Now I know on camera they look quite big, but in real life they can be a bit of a pain as well to wick. So we'll see how that goes. Just bend your legs out, then give them a snip. I suppose one of the bad things about this design is if you wasn't careful, you could clip your coil as well. But it's just a matter of being careful. I can't say that I haven't, on a few occasions, got in there and ended up breaking a coil. There we are. Right, that's better, that's fallen off. So there we are. That is the build on that deck. Come on, Henry, focus. Like that. So let's get some heat going through. So this isn't the mod that I'm going to be using. This is just my build mod that I use, or one of my build mods that I use. So I'm just going to zero out my mod, stick that on there. Is this a new coil? Yes. We're currently resting at a 0.13. So that will climb up a bit. I don't know how much, but I'm definitely not going to be dry burning it on 80 watts. So I'm going to bring it down to 25, introduce some heat to it, get it glowing, strum it, pinch it, pull it, get it glowing from the inside out, getting rid of any hot spots. So let's get going. You can see what I'm doing. That a bit better. Come on, Henry. Focus. There we are. So I'm sorry the coil part is a bit blurry. But yeah, let's get a bit of heat in there. So there is some steam and oils burning off the coils. Got a bit of heat there. Give it a strum. So you're strumming to help get the hot spots out and get them glowing evenly. If you're new to coil build and you haven't got the foggiest idea what I'm talking about when I'm saying hot spots, they're basically, once you're doing your coils and stuff, you'll see like little lightning bolts in your coils. They are hot spots, and they're what you've got to also work out as well. So keep strumming. They will eventually come out. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there is a hot spot just there. So keep strumming. Got some nice blue colours going on there. So there is hot spots. Keep strumming. Pinch if you want to. Some people don't like to pinch. I do all three. I pinch, I strum, I stretch. Just to see how it goes. Give it a strum. Work out all those hot spots. Give it a stretch, which I just pull a bit like that. Grab hold of the edge and just pull. So they're getting a bit better. I am going to put a bit more power in there. Sometimes extra power can help it burn a bit better. Just keep strumming. Keep on with it. They will eventually come out. So what I'm also going to do is, with moving and stuff, I'm just going to check the post holes. Now, if you did see that one move, that's how it's supposed to be. And that's one of the things I didn't like about this RDA deck, is it isn't threaded in. It just sits in. So with a lot of use, it has got a bit loose, but it doesn't affect it in any way. Hence the reason I'm using it on a regulated mod, and I'm not using it on a mech mod in any way. So there we are. If you're still having problems, get your coiling rod and just put it through there. Sometimes that can help as well. If I'm not dropping stuff. See, this is what happens. Oops, this is what happens when you drink, and especially doing a live. So yeah, these coils are taking a bit longer to heat right. Like I say, just keep on with it and they will eventually move out. Any hot spots, give it a little tinkle, or a little tickle, should I say. And like now, we are burning nice and evenly, like that. So that is perfect. So what I'm just going to quickly do, I'm just going to make sure that this goes on there, which it does, and nothing's touching. So what I'm going to do, guys, is what I'm been doing past couple of streams. I'm going to let these cool down. I'm going to zero out this mod. I'm going to have a quick break, a quick toilet break to drain the main vein, grab my other drink for the second part, and we'll get it wicked up and ready, get the mod chosen. So thanks for everybody that's still here, still joining. I hope you're enjoying the content. So I'm going to go for a quick break. So I'm going to remove that, put that on. Right, come on. Right, so I'm going to just quickly put that on and I'll be back soon, guys. Please stay tuned. I won't be long.
We keep it lit, clouds so thick we never quit. Be back in a jiffy, don't you stray. Rewick, refill, and vape all day. This ain't goodbye, just a little break. More bills, more chill, more clouds to make. We twist, bleed, it gets more than a game. Call sight, flavor on blast. Living that vape life, building fast. Maximize, we keep it lit. Clouds so thick we never quit. The beat magnet, if you don't choose straight. Rewick, refill, and vape all day. This ain't good.
I'm back, guys. Thanks for waiting. Right, we are back. There we are. Thank you very much, guys, for being patient and waiting. And we are back. So, second drink is this one, Jungle Juice. I have had this one on my stream before, but like I said, beer shopping today, there was just hardly any variety, but this is a really nice one from Vault City. I do like quite a few drinks from Vault City, 6%. It's a sour beer. and I love my sours, just like my previous one. So that's what I'll be cracking open next. So back to business. This has cooled down, which is definitely. So I'm back from draining the main vein, and yes, I did wash my hands. So we are resting at a 0.21 ohms, which is perfect. Let me just turn that down before I accidentally fire it with some cotton in it. Right, so this is going to be a challenge because wicking this can be a challenge. So I'm just using this at the moment. It's not the best cotton, but it ain't shit either. So my preferred cotton that I do normally use is Kendo Gold, normal Japanese organic cotton, or Firebolt. I do like that. But they had a deal on this one, so many for so much, and I needed cotton at the time, so that's what I got. So get my binoculars back on. 2.5 millimeter, so that should be just good. So just making sure it's still nice and fluffy. So with any luck, I will get two coils out of this one wick. That is perfect. So yeah, that is absolutely perfect. So make sure you have a nice small pair of scissors handy. That always makes a change. So for those who don't like wastage with your cotton, that is perfect. So, and then I'm just going to get rid of this little swirly bit at the end. There we are. Get rid of that. So, like I said, this can be a tricky one to wick. So I will definitely be thinning these out because the wick holes on them aren't massive. So you don't need really a lot of cotton in there. So I will be thinning this quite a bit. Got to do the mic vapes, bit of under tickle there. And then same on this side. I'm just going to thin this out just so it makes tucking them into those juice wells a lot easier. Because you don't need much cotton for it. And I might even have to keep trimming as well as I go along. So get rid of those fuzzy bits from the end. So to make it easier for myself, I know I'm going to need to cut a bit off. So what I'm going to do here is just chop a little bit off at an angle like that. Same on that side. Same on this side. And same on this side. And what that does is it's just going to help me tuck those wicks in perfectly where it's not too much and too thick in there. I want it to be able to wick good as well. So let's just grab that and tuck it in there, or try and tuck it in there. So trying to stay in camera, so if I go out of camera temporarily, I'm sorry guys. So you want those tails obviously dangling in there, but you don't want it obviously packed in there as well. So you don't want any stragglers or anything like that. So a bit like that. Right, there we are. A bit like that. You don't want it completely smashed with cotton. Now, a lot of people used to make that mistake back in the day, where they used to jam it with cotton and wonder why they used to get a lot of dry hits with it, and the secret to it was not to overfill it with cotton, because like I say, those wicking channels, they're not massive. So just a little bit of space in there did help with the wicking process. And I just want to make sure that's in there. And I think I've done that completely perfect. The wick wise, length, thickness, stuff like that. And then just be patient and get that wick tucked in there. There we are. So this can be a bit tedious, this bit here. This is why you guys these days are so spoiled with your big massive decks and stuff like that. It's not something we had back then, which is basically the norm now. Similar to this Velocity style deck, back then it was the norm. When it came out, everybody kicked off about people copying it, the deck, but like with anything else, everything does eventually get copied. Just like the postless deck, you see it in most things now, RTAs, RDAs, and stuff like that. So that's the wicking done. Come on, Henry. So that's the wicking done. Like I say, you don't want it completely stuffed in there. You see how there's space in there? Plenty of room. Your juice is going to go through there. So you want to make sure that juice can get in there. So that's that basically. So let's get some juice. What juice am I going to use? Right. So I want something refreshing. So I know this is refreshing, this ice flavored. I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use another Dark Stars Labs that didn't come back. And that is Hey Yuzu. Get you there, get you there. So, which is Hey Yuzu, which is a yuzu and cactus. And that is very refreshing. Now, this did take ages to steep. Now, this one steeped like a flipping dessert flavour. It took ages to steep before I thought the flavour was bang on. So, there we are. So, this is what I'm going to use. Let's get these coils nicely dripped up. Let me increase that wattage to about 45. So when I eventually get a better camera as well, I can do a proper close-up of juice and drip and stuff like that. But let's just get that on there, give it a pulse. Same again, there, give it a pulse. Draw that e-liquid into those coils. And again, you want them nicely saturated. Give it one more. And that should be good. And we've got vapor. And that really does smell good, that cactus juice. So let me get this up a bit more. There we are. Perfect. So let's get this back all together and filled. And I'll show you what I'm going to be vaping it on. So chimney back on. So perfect, there's no issues with it touching. Glass on. So like I say, there's no top piece to the original Colito. So it's basically the top piece or your top cap. There's no in between, which sort of made it easier for filling as well. The only thing you had to worry is if you cleaned it, you had to hold on to your glass because your glass did used to pop off every now and then. So I'm going to fill this up. Now, I'm not going to fill it up a lot. I like to just fill it about a quarter of the way before I know that everything is hunky-dory with the wicking and stuff like that. It's not gonna flood or anything. So the drip tip, so originally it comes with a black drip tip, a sleeve style drip tip. Now I did get a custom drip tip back in the day. So for those who knows Vince's tips from back in the day, I did get one of them. And I know these are nearly 8 years, 6, 7, 8 years old, and these are still really, really good nick to say that they're being used. And that's that. So there was a bit of juice there, but I think that was from when I was dripping the juice actually onto the coils. So the mod I'm going to be using is the OG RX200. So it is battered and chipped. I did use this a lot back in the day. It did have a wrap on it from Zap Wraps. So if you do remember that company as well, Zap Wraps, it did have a wrap on it. So this is the Jabo and Wismec RX200, the OG one, the first one that came out. Triple 18650 battery on there. And this was a really popular one back in the day. When it came out, everybody wanted them. When I worked at a vape shop, they didn't actually sell the RX200, but the amount of money they could have made off these devices is unbelievable. They could have made some right money off them. So I'm just using some Molicels P28s. So 2 rear ones are in positive side down. So I do have my batteries marked, and I do have them married for certain devices. So triple, parallel, series, stuff like that. I have married batteries for all of them. So these 3 batteries will stay together, work together, discharge together, and charge together. So nice simple display on it. You've got your wattage, your ohms, your voltage, and your battery indicator there. Simple. So no atomizer. And it's locked from last time I used it. So whatever settings you had on before, it stayed that way. So, so if I remember correctly, originally this was 200 watts, but with a software update through here, it gave you an extra 50 watts. So this is 250. Nice and quick. 0.1 increments, but does go really fast once you get scrolling. Like that. So yeah, there doesn't seem to be any flooding there at the moment. I think that bit of juice that was in there was from when I dripped it. So what's the resistance reading on this? So the resistance is 0.22 on this mod. So I am going to bump it up to about 70 watts to begin with. See how it goes there. Yeah, and we've got power. So that's what we're doing. Airflow open all the way. Like I said, triple airflow. So it's not parallel or quad airflow, it is triple. So just Just have a quick tester on that. So that will need some more power, so I will pump that up to 85 watts. I did used to close this down about halfway, so we'll do that. So seems to be all right there. So let me do a bit of cleaning up and we'll get you back to FaceTime, crack open another drink and talk some more, and hopefully my stream won't cut off. But all the way through as well, I haven't had any emergencies on my computer telling me my connection's bad. That's when it all went tits up last week. But saying that as well, I also run beta software on my phone, so that can be contributing to it as well. If you're an Apple user like mine and you beta test, then you probably know what I'm talking about. A new beta came out yesterday and it seems to be working a lot better than what it was previously. So that's away, that's away. These binoculars can go away now. Let me pull you back up here so you can see me. Hi guys. So do appreciate you all. Just make sure everything's all right there. That's perfect. Let me just check on here. So that's all right. That's good. Pop that away. Jungle juice. And let me get you back to where you were. Nice, wide. Hi, Brian. Thanks for joining, my brother. Appreciate it. How are you doing this evening? Have you been busy? So, nice wide angle of my room just there. And we're after the coil build now. Get rid of this. Get rid of that. Boom. So, move my chair around. So guys, thank you so much all of you for staying, being patient, dipping in, dipping out. I know some parts of this stream might not be enjoyable to some, i.e. coil making and stuff like that. You just got home from work, Brian. Well, hopefully it's chill out time for you now. A beer, bit of food or something like that. So yeah, this has been stood for a bit and there's no flooding or gurgling. I don't know if you can hear that on there. There is bubbles there, obviously, with me blowing on it. Come on, Henry. Henry. My auto lock isn't on, is it now? Come on, Henry. Henry, you can do it. You can do it, Henry. Come on, Henry. There we are. Like that. So we should be good. So let's get the second beer cracked open, guys. So the second one is a Jungle Juice, which I have featured before. Like I've said, it has been an absolute nightmare for drink today. So I have had this one before. It's a sour Jungle Juice, very nice and refreshing. I can rate this. I'm not much of an IPA or a beer person, but I do like a sour and a flavoured stout. Right up my street. Lord Yonder, how we doing? How we doing, my brother? Oh, go on, Arthur. Thanks for joining, brother. Appreciate Arthur, my brother from another mother. Oh, it's your YouTube tag. So got over the building part, showing you what I'm thinking. I'm at the end. It's time to relax, have another drink, and test out what I've built and see what I've got that's retro. So cheers everybody, Jungle Juice. Let's go in for the pour. So I really appreciate you showing up, Arthur. For those who know Arthur, he does not do lives. So I do appreciate it for you dropping in. So it is kind of thick. There is got bits and stuff in there. And it tastes like a tropical juice. Smells like a tropical juice. Let's have a drink. You can't smell any sourness to it. But yeah, it's like a tropical sour, which I think will go well with the yuzu, which is like a citrus, fruit and cactus, which I think will go well with that. So cheers, let's pair it with this and let's have a toot on this. Now I have got this up to 85 watts. Come on, Henry, you're doing so well. 85 watts and still no flooding. So in here, Arthur, I've got an alien coil that I made, 28 gauge cores, 36 on the outer wrap. It's a very small deck. So original Colito with the bubble glass and RTA section, OG RX 200 on there. Right, enough waffling. Let's have a toot. That does go together. That does go together. Wow. So that yuzu definitely comes out in that drink and that vape. Wow. Just let me blow my nose, guys. I've got stuff coming out my nose. So cheers, Arthur. Whatever you're drinking, mate, if it's a hot drink, coffee or anything. I know you don't drink, brother, but cheers anyway. But yeah. Excuse me. That tickled me then. So I don't know if you're going to be able to hear it. There's a little bit of crackle. There's not a lot of crackle. There's a little bit of crackle. Nice. So I've got this at 85 watts. Ohms is at 0.22. So round about the same. Triple airflow. I have got it cut off well, is it a quarter? Yeah, about a quarter of the way. So fully open, this is extremely airy. So this is fully open. I don't know if you can hear that. So very airy. But I do prefer it about quarter of the way closed. But let's try halfway close across the board. So that's halfway. It's a bit hard to see because obviously a black tank, but it is closed down halfway. That's nice. Don't you start bloody doing shit on me now. And juttering and stuff. Mango and pineapple. That sounds absolutely delicious. I am a big fan, if you can ever get it, of pineapple and coconut water. Now that's nice and refreshing. So yeah, I actually like that at halfway shut. But don't forget there's 3 airflow slots on there. I can't fault that flavour one bit. One bit on that. And to be fair, I think I prefer it halfway down. So I'm going to leave it halfway down. So, like I said, when this first tank first came out, it was a normal sub-ohm tank with coils. When they first came out, the coils were trash. Now, like I say, anybody who's watching anything on the replay crew probably know, if they're familiar with this tank, that when it first came out, their stock coils straight off the bat taste like burnt rubber, excuse me, burnt rubber bands, which put people off the tank. Now, the only reason that I bought this is because I knew there was an RTA section coming out for it. So I did buy it, wait for the RTA section to come, plus the bubble glass. I think this was one of the first tanks that had the bubble glass option. And people didn't like it. They thought it looked like a fishbowl, but also it made your capacity a lot bigger. Because with a straight glass, you got like 2 mils in it with the RTA section, because the RTA was bigger than the coil. So you benefited from a bubble glass, but people thought it looked like a fishbowl. So easy to build on, easy to put your coils on. It was easy, nice and easy, that velocity style deck. Wicking can be a bit of a challenge because obviously the holes are really, really small. You've got to really thin out that cotton and trim it down a bit and just tuck it in there. You don't want it completely packed. You want it to obviously wick good. Now, I did only put a little bit of juice in there and it's already gone. But no flooding whatsoever. One thing I did not like as well on this tank, now that's completely gone out of my head what I was about to say. Completely gone out of my head. So yeah, so as you can see on the inside, it does get steamed up a bit on the inside. And I don't know why that used to happen, but it does get steamed up a bit. Charles, Cleto 120. I've got one. This became so much more popular when the RTA section came out. See how it steams up? I don't know why it did that. But yeah, it used to steam up. But I do have the 120 as well. That's for a completely different stream. But I do have the 120, exactly the same. It's got a bubble glass and an RTA section. But I thought I'd go with the OG for this stream. But yeah, the Cleto 120 absolutely killed it. It turned what was good with this original Cleto just better because it was 25 millimeters and obviously bigger tank capacity, bigger tank capacity and all that, 25 millimeters. That made it look completely. So I've filled it more or less full and no pressure has made it flood. There's no flooding in there, so I wicked it perfectly. That's why I say wicking it can be challenging, because if you put too much wick in it, obviously dry hits galore. If you put too less in it or didn't wick it right, then obviously you'd have flooding. So it was a bit of trial and error with it. I can't say I was perfect the first time. Was a heck perfect at the first time, and I'd been doing it a lot longer. Also love the strip tip. Like I say, if you knew Vince's tips from back in the day, yeah, that's one of his. I've got a few of his, and they're still good to this day, and some of them are like 7, 8 years old. And there's no pitting or anything or coming away. He was a really good drip tip maker. So it was Vince's tips, or Vince Bartholomew, if you knew him sort of personally. I sort of did through social media and stuff. But yeah, that drip tip is gorgeous. If Henry works. Henry. But yeah, purple, black, light, dark purple and stuff like that. Great flavour. I cannot complain about the flavour. The flavour of some of these retro stuffs will easily compete with stuff that's out today. And the OG RX 200, yeah. So like I say, it has been beaten about a bit. It was one that I used a lot because of it being a triple 18650. There wasn't many mods out there that was like that triple 18650. So this was popular. Like I say, 200 watts out of the box with a software update made it 250 watts. And because of where the RTA deck, the way it was, and the positive post only being held in by a pin, not threadedly screwed in by a pin, obviously that's the reason why I'm not putting it on a mech, or if put it on a mech, I'd rather have it on a regulated device. And that's actually the same with the 120. So guys, like I said, the best way to support this channel is to like and subscribe. If you would like to buy me a coffee, there is a buy me a coffee link pinned to the top of the comments. I will leave one when the live has ended in the comments if you wish to do so. Hashtag replay crew if you wish to do so. Every segment, if you do buy me a coffee, you will get a shout out on the following stream. Now, because I had problems from last week's stream, I didn't even get to that section. So let me get rid of that. And I can't actually, because I completely forgot to do it. But I do have a banner. So I do have somebody who watches me, Kerp Lop. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. So I will give a shout out to you. The previous week you did buy me a coffee, so I do appreciate it, my brother. So if you are watching this, I'll catch it on the replay. A big shout out to you, brother. It does help, obviously, with the channel and keeps me behind the camera. And I will also point out YouTube. This is an educational video about making coils and stuff. I'm not promoting anything or telling anybody to go out there and buy. If you haven't noticed, this is a retro vape channel, and most of the stuff that I am showing is no longer available. So this is not promoting anything. Don't give me a strike, because that's not what I'm doing. I'm just sharing my experience and my collection with everybody. So who's still watching? Can you comment who's still watching? There is some of you that are still watching. So I would like to know who's still watching, because I appreciate all of you that are still watching. Everything seems to be good and the stream seems to be going well today. Has anybody got any questions? Do you want to ask anything? Are you interested in anything about me that you want to ask? Go right ahead. So we've got Arthur still here. I really appreciate you Lord Yoda, aka Arthur. I really appreciate it because I know you do not do lives. So I appreciate it, brother. You dropping in, even if it's just to say hi. I really do appreciate it. Vaping Brum is still here. There's a couple more people who's still here. Hope you're enjoying what you've seen so far. Hope you've enjoyed the stream. Is there any way I can make it better? That'd make it more enjoyable for you guys to watch. Now I'm going to pump that up to 90 watts. Because I think I can get a bit more power into this tank. And it's wicking perfectly as well. There's bubbles coming out. I know you can't see them now, but there is bubbles coming out just there. There's one there. Bloop. So it is wicking. More bubbles just there. So it is wicking nicely. No spit back. No gurgling. An RTA that I still use to this day. And a mod that I use to this day. So Steve, if you're still watching or you get the later replay, I am still looking to swap you that Bonza Pro kit. And I know you said earlier on you are thinking of maybe swapping for that heavy hitter. I will take that. I will take that. So, Arthur, is that your staggered fuse Clapton? Because I did see your post, but I don't know if it's recent posts or have you done a braid coil? Which I will say, and I have said it in my previous streams in here, I do have a braided coil in here, and that was inspired by Arthur, Lord Yoda there. And I do have a few pieces here, another piece here that I've been practicing on. So that was inspired by Lord Yoda there. And that's because I've seen his posts and he's doing it. And if you don't follow Lord Yoda on social media, Instagram is his main platform and is known as the Crazy Vaping Ape, if you don't already know him. Okay, so go give him a follow as well. He's got good content, does good coil builds as well, and is, you know, he's just an absolute amazing guy, proper gentleman, and I'm happy to call him one of my good friends, family even. Dead Rabbit Pro. Nice, nice. It's what I have got in this one, which was my buffet tonight. Noisy Cricket and Twisted Messes. I do have, it's a bit gunked up because I have been vaping on it. Come on. But there is a staggered fuse Claptons in there. Anytime, brother. This channel is all about love, brother. For the right people, should I say. But yeah, go give Crazy Vaping Ape a follow on Instagram as well. He does amazing posts, coil builds and stuff. And he has come a long way with his coil builds. A lot quicker than I will say. And like I say, a really nice guy. Go give him a follow as well. He deserves a follow. And stuff like that. And same with Vaping Brummie and all the rest of you. Steve as well in the chat. He's got a Facebook group, and also Vaping Brummie. He's on YouTube as well, and he's also on Facebook and Instagram as well, both of them. So go give him a follow. Go give him a follow. Definitely. I'd appreciate that, bro. I'd appreciate it. And likewise with you, I'll have to send you some of my coils as well. Obviously that I make, because I know you use a lot of pre-made coils as well, which is one of the reasons why I've done this sort of stream where I make coils, because it gives you a bit of insight to what these professional coils do on a bigger scale and a bigger level. I completely missed that comment. Sorry. You were me. You were me meaning thingy me jig. Vaping brummy. So like I said, it gives you a bit of insight to what these professional coils do on a bigger scale. Or if you're, like I say, interested in learning how to make your own coils, this is what I'm here for as well. I stick to mostly popular coils, so it might seem a bit repetitive, which I understand that, but I tend to stick with Aliens, Interlock, and Staggered Fuse Claptons as well. If you want me to do some more simpler builds, let me know, like Fuse Claptons and stuff like that, or just normal Claptons. Let me know in the comments if that's something you'd be interested in, something just simple, simple to learn. I know Leander has been practicing with some coils and stuff. I'm sure he's asked a few people. He's asked me as well for a bit of help. But there's loads of us out there that'll be happy to help you that make coils. But there's also loads of good coil makers out there. Dave Watman being one, Coil Magician being another, MCV coils, they're good. There's loads of them out there. If it's not something that you're into making your own, there's loads of people out there. And they're also on Instagram and Facebook. Go give them a coil Go give them a follow as well. I start talking more gibberish the more I drink. So I do apologise, guys. So we've been running about a couple of hours. So I'm probably going to leave it there, guys. I'm not going to waffle on too much. So I appreciate you all. I love you all the people that have joined today, dipped in and out. A big shout out to the hashtag replay crew, and also to a couple of people, well, not a couple of people, but one person in special, Lord Yoda, aka the crazy vaping ape, that dropped in to say hello, which he doesn't do lives. So I do appreciate that, brother. Thank you very much. So I'll leave it here. I'm here every Wednesday, guys. Every Wednesday, 8 o'clock UK time. I am here. I am building, making coils, showing you something retro that I'm vaping on. There'll be a beer, there'll be talk, there'll be banter as well. I'm on social media. I don't post all the time. I'm always busy as well, but I do post. So make sure you're tuned into them as well. Facebook, Instagram, and then obviously here on YouTube. Preferred platform is Instagram. So anything that I post on Instagram automatically get post on Facebook. But like I say, my profile of choice, platform of choice is Instagram. You'll always find me on there. Appreciate that, brother. Welcome anytime, all of you. And also as well, if you haven't noticed, Jaff was in earlier on. If you don't follow Jaff, go show him some love as well. He's on YouTube, he does videos, he's on Instagram and Facebook. Go give him a follow as well, show him some love as well. So, I have got a few clicks before I end this stream. So again, thanks for everybody that's joined. Thanks for everybody that's dipped in and out. Okay, shout out to the hashtag replay crew. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. And like I said, there is a buy me a coffee link if you wish to do so. If you don't want to, that is perfect. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the content. And I hope you have enjoyed the content. And I'll see you here on a weekly basis every Wednesday, 8 o'clock GMT UK time. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Love you all. Thanks for joining. I really, really appreciate it. Okay? So, love and respect, guys, and I'll see you soon.